All right, Tom Katzenmeier, take it
Thank
away.
you. Thanks, Allison. It's great to see everybody. I know it's hard to believe, but I actually really enjoy this process, even though it's tens of hours of meetings. But it really keeps me current, and I learn a lot from all of you. And I am out. It seems like almost every day or every other day talking about the arts, so it gives me a lot of content that I can talk about, and I really, really appreciate it. It also gives us very good oversight over all of you and getting our boards together, our executives together, looking at your financials, all of that. So let's do it again this year. We're off to a very good start. It's our 50th anniversary this year. We're very financially strong. Uh, we are getting money. So just want to give you a quick update on our three major funding sources. One is Franklin County, the Franklin County Commissioners. They are voting on our contract on Tuesday, April 25th. That amount is for $4 million, which is what we got last year. That's in a very good place, but I will be testifying and they should be approving it. And then we'll sign a contract with them. The ticket fee money has been through council, as has the bed tax money, and they're both performing quite well this year. And as they did last year, they finished last year strong too. I say those three things just to remind you that these are annual contracts that we have with the city and the county. That's why we attempt and try to be such great stewards of this public money. There was a big story about the zoo today. And that's just a reminder that we need to be very careful stewards of the public money we receive. And it is given to us on a year-to-year basis. So we're very mindful of that. But I think the civic leaders and the city elected leaders are very content with how this money is being spent and what you guys are doing with it. So I'm very grateful for that. And as you know, I just want to remind you, we cover the whole sector. So it's not just about operating support. A couple weeks ago, we announced our first round of Fund for Artist grants, and 590 artists received $945,000 from us. So that was the largest amount we've ever approved. And here's what I'm psyched about, more than 51% of those artists were new applicants to us. So we're creating a lot of demand for this funding. And we also have two more rounds of that to go. So the $945,000 is, I think, by far more than we've spent. We're going to have a record amount of money for artist grants this year. We have two more rounds of that. So if you know artists that haven't received funding from us yet this year, the next deadline is June 1st, and the deadline after that is September 1st. The other thing we just did last week is we approved 36 projects in project support, and that was for $411,300. And there were 14 new first-time applicants in that pool. So again, we're thrilled that we're creating new demand. We're finding new audiences, new organizations for this money. And then I want to remind you about three or four things. One is the annual report just got released. It's on our website. Jamie's very proud of that. We're getting major kudos for that. Thank you, Jamie. The photography in it is unbelievable. I'm sure all, if not most of your organizations are featured in there. The Arts Festival, which many of you participate in through CAMA, is June 9th, 10th, and 11th. Same location, same geography on the river down there. A couple slight changes in it because of construction projects. So we're looking forward to that. It's, I think, 66 days away. Not that we're counting. The big arts night, our awards night, is Thursday, November 2nd. This year, we're going to do the same kind of format, but we're going to mix it up a little bit this year because it is our 50th anniversary after all. But we'll have the awards show in the Southern Theater, and we will have the party of the year upstairs in the Westin. So we'll look forward. And that is a free event, as is the Arts Festival. Then finally, two more things real quick. I want to mention that Jamie is working on a public art plan for the city and the county. We are within a day or two of signing the contract with the firm out of New York to do that work. It's a year to year and a half long process that's going to involve a lot of public input. And so you'll see a lot of news about that. And finally, I want to remind you, after this is over and the grants are approved at our June board meeting, I want to remind you to thank the elected officials. So the mayor, the 7 council members, the 3 county commissioners, that is so significant for continuing this funding on an ongoing basis. And trust me, they see your letters. And I know that because they comment on them to me. And sometimes it's the first thing they say to me. And I know a couple of the commissioners keep the letters like on their desk. So they don't get thanked by a lot of people. And it's just really significant that we can thank them when we can. So thank the elected officials as you see them in your travels this year. And with that, I'm going to throw it over to Jamie Goldstein.
Thanks. Thanks, Tom. Well, you stole some of my thunder, but that's okay. I'm going to probably repeat just a couple of things. Please, as Tom mentioned, we have the Arts Festival coming up. Before I dive into the guts of what I'm going to say, which should be pretty quick, the patron party is June 9th. It's going to be at the Junto, new location. Very important. Don't go to the Cultural Arts Center. There will be VIP area at the Cultural Arts Center, but our patron party is going to be at the new hotel that is just across from Dorian Green on the west side of the river. We just did a site visit today. We're super excited. You should have gotten an email about that. We'll be doing a reminder here shortly. I want to thank you personally, all of you, for sending such amazing images for our annual report. We look beautiful because of the amazing work that you do and the assets that you share with us so that we can really tell this story of the incredible work you're doing in the community. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we're really happy about the way that the new brand is deploying, so that the annual report, the report to the 2022 report to the community, is the first sort of full scale new GCAC logo brand deployment. All of you probably, but most of you I know because I've seen it, are using the new logo. We're so grateful. It looks great. I'm going to give everybody a second when I'm done to let me know if you're encountering any problems. If anybody's ever done a new brand before, you know that once it's like boots on the ground, you're like, oh, I should have thought of that. And we've made a couple little changes as we've put it out into the community. Always willing to make it more flexible. We've offered a couple different logo lockups and arrangements. And just for everybody that just so you have it in front of you, there is an abridged version of the whole process that we went through for the brand deployment. We worked with Blackletter, their firm up in Delaware. They did amazing work for us. And in the chat is the link where you can get the logos. You can get a little quick one-pager cheat sheet you can give to your graphic designers, and also sort of the story behind the new brand. This brand was built on the strategic plan we did a couple years ago, and then really diving in. The entire staff was involved. Some board members were involved, a couple outside designers, to really have the broadest possible view in how we represent ourselves. And that includes how we as a staff and the passion we bring to this organization, how that manifests in the community. And I think that what Blackletter came up with really is such a good representation of us. And we're having a lot of fun putting it out there. So again, thank you. You have the links. This part of the goal of the new brand was to tighten the visual identity and visual association between GCAC and the other things that we do. So that includes the Columbus Arts Festival. That logo was redone. If you go to columbusartsfestival.org, you'll see the new festival logo in the upper left-hand corner. and it includes the columbusmakesart.com site. The old Art Makes Columbus Makes Art stacked logo, gone. If you have it lingering out there anywhere, just dump it. We are going to we're going to continue to tighten up these two things so that people really visually know that GCAC produces the Arts Festival, produces columbusmakesart.com, and creates all these great resources for the community, like our artist directory, the event calendar, and our public art database. The campaign direction itself, we're taking a little bit of pause from putting artists in ads. We launched the campaign in 2015, so that's 7+ years. We wanted to refresh the list of artists that we presented, and we also wanted to tighten up their connection to GCAC. So we are in a process of rebuilding artist pages and sort of re-inviting some artists to create a new, to fill out a new questionnaire, and we're going to create new artist pages on columbusmakesart.com, and then inviting new artists, folks like our navigators and our Artist Elevate winners and other folks who have received grants from GCAC. So their connection to GCAC is going to be tighter as you see that roll out in Q3 and Q4. You're going to see us telling the stories of our artists, still amazing, creative, talented artists in our communities, and how they're connected to us at GCAC. You'll see pretty shortly, within the next week or so, not a complete redo of columbusmakesart.com, but a refreshed front page and refreshed event pages. They're gonna look, in addition to the logo, they're gonna look a little bit snazzier, and I think it's going to be a better user experience as well. We're also doing some back end things that help us with the Ohio Event Finder, and how we do our technical assistance. I think if you've had to enter events, you know about Nick Decker, who is super helpful, and our technical assistance guy on that back end things and details and needs. And I think that's really it. Save the date for Big Arts Night. That's going to be November. Is it 2nd or 3rd? I can't remember. It's that first Thursday in November. Again, big free party at the Westin and the Great Southern Theater. We'll present all our awards again, and we might be changing up the way that we do some of our awards. And you can stay tuned about that. Hopefully, we'll have that information out in the next couple months, certainly shortly after the Arts Festival, if not sooner. Does anyone have any questions for me about the new brand? Any hiccups you've encountered in deploying the logo? Again, thank you. Everybody picked it up, and I'm just seeing it everywhere on walls and brochures and in ads and programs. So again, thank you. I'm not hearing any questions. Oh, I forgot to hit send. So I just put that link in the chat for everybody.
There it is. Thank you.
Yep. We're still getting used to Teams over here a little bit. We were a Zoom family for a while, and everything has changed around the screen. So awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, Jamie.
Absolutely. Thanks
to everyone who's been enthusiastically on board with the new logos and parameters around that. Next, we're going to have Kayla join us. And as I put in my note, the reason that Kayla's joining us is, first of all, she's great to answer any questions that are financially related. But second, we're several years into this process that we've had with the FY report and the final report. And we still have some organizations that the comparative financial spreadsheet does not match the audit, does not match the data that's put in the system. And so it creates a lot of back and forth and a lot of delays on getting that tightened up. And so she's going to walk us through the system to show us that process. And many of you are doing it just right. If you're not, if you haven't had to go back and forth with Kayla, you're great. But we thought maybe we'd take this opportunity to let those grant makers or financial folks who fill out that information to see the process and the why. Kayla.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Did it change? Can everybody see it?
Yes.
Yes, Kayla. Okay, thank you. So I just pulled up a generic spreadsheet and I filled in some sample numbers. So this doesn't relate to anybody, but it's just to provide an example. And then we also have what we call test accounts, where we work with sample profiles to make sure things work before we deploy it out to all of you to eliminate errors. So that's what I have up on the screen right now. The spreadsheet that everybody is used to seeing normally looks like this. It has a lot of yellow highlights on it because those are the areas that we want you to fill in. One thing I just want to remind everybody is to feel free to make this your own. If you will never have admissions and ticketing, feel free to delete that line or rename it to something else. Whatever is going to fit your organization and make more sense to you in the long run. The whole point in leaving it in an Excel spreadsheet was so you could edit it and make it yours. I just put a lot of figures in here. If the variance is over 20%, I added a generic explanation. The explanations don't have to be anything crazy. It can be something as simple as we added an additional show, so we had more revenues. Just something to quickly explain what happened. There should always be an explanation between your budget and your actuals. You should know what you planned for and what changed and what came in and why. So just something brief to explain that would be great. You do not have to do it for the totals because you're already doing it in the individual line items. That's why I don't normally highlight down here. I think the biggest thing that we're seeing mistakes on is when you have to take the spreadsheet and carry it over into this sheet right here in Go Arts. It's in the financial data tab in your FY report. We tried to make it easy by just using the same title. So you see total earned program revenue. Completely agrees with this exact title. And you really should just be carrying this over exactly as the totals are on here. You'll see the ones that I've entered and how they carry over. I can understand why some people do what they do, especially when we get down to contributed revenue. Total GCAC support, it could be broken out its own line item in the spreadsheet. However you want to do it is fine, but we do need to be able to tie this out. We use this this form over here to do a couple different things for us. One, it calculates your grant award. So these numbers have to be correct. Otherwise, your grant award's not going to be correct. So what you're inputting really needs to tie to the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet really needs to tie to the audit because that's the only way we know that it's accurate. The numbers that you enter in here are going to impact your grant award calculation because we calculate your adjusted revenue. There's a formula that we back out GCAC support, we back out city support, we back out county support that you're receiving in addition to GCAC funding because that's where all of our funding comes from. So it should give you a total after you hit save draft. And as you'll see, I only have 50,000 right here. And if I come over here, it's 250,000. Well, that's because it doesn't add in the total GCAC support. Totally okay. I can figure that out. That's not a problem. I'll either add these together or I'll just look at the total and see if it ties over here. So that's not a big deal.
Kayla, I'm going to interrupt you for a sec.
Sure.
Is there a way to just focus on the spreadsheet itself so it can be a little bit larger on the screen?
I can, yeah. Let me get through the rest of this and then I'll blow it up.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. And then the one thing that I noticed that there are a lot of errors is total contributed revenue. And I completely understand why people will do this. They'll say, well, I've already entered the 200,000. I've already entered the 50,000. I already entered the 25. So I should subtract those out and it would be zero, right? No, you definitely want to carry it completely over at 275,000. Why? Because we use this for our annual report. We report out total contributed revenue from all of our grantees. So it has nothing to do with your award calculation for that field. It's for a completely different purpose. Totally confusing, I understand, But the best thing you can do is just take the spreadsheet and carry the numbers over directly into this field before you submit it. Are there any questions that anybody has on this? I'll blow this up a little bit too so you can see it better. On this page right here.
So just in very simplistic terms for a non-financial person, what I always say is start with the audit, move those numbers into the spreadsheet, use the spreadsheet to inform the data fields in the FY Go Arts online report.
Yes. The rest of these tabs, of course, also need to fill out. Those are pretty simple. And then we do not want your audit emailed to us. We appreciate that, you know, you want to reach out to us and say hi, and we definitely love hearing from you. But I could lose it in my email. I have so many emails. So if it's in our database, we know where to find it. It's much easier. And I also get a notification when you hit the submit button saying you've submitted everything. So it really just helps us all stay on task, because you should also be getting reminders if you haven't submitted this on time. It should be auto-generating an email to you saying, hey, here's a reminder, please submit your FY report, it's due. Okay, I will go back to the spreadsheet here. So all of these totals here that I have read should tie to your audit. So we just want your total revenues to tie to your audit. We want your total program expenses, your total management in general, fundraising. I understand that things are going to be broken out differently. When you look at your statement of functional expenses, this will all be broken out under management and general column. And then you're also going to have these same sort of line items broken out under program expenses. You don't have to do all of that. Entering a total number in here is totally okay. The goal of the spreadsheet was to not make it so difficult on everyone, but it was really just to give us a comparison of current year over prior year versus what you're budgeting to next year, so that we can ask educated questions and give us a really good understanding. Allison, is there anything else you wanted me to go over on here?
No, but I would put it out to the folks that maybe are newer to this process, if just again to see if you have questions. And also, I was wondering, Kayla, if we could take these screenshots, I can send them out to everybody on this call too, if you wanted to take a look at them again. I mean, you have access to all of these things, but these could be kind of your homework deck.
Yeah, sure. We could email the spreadsheet to everybody along with the screenshot. I think I might even actually be able to do a PDF from Go Arts where everything ties out nicely. Oh, one more thing I did want to point out is, you know, if there's a $200 difference in something, and in the scheme of things, this is a $400,000 budget, we don't really care about $200. So to try and explain why this was 25% higher, it's not a big deal. Just say it's immaterial. You don't have to go into that much detail. We're really trying to look at the bigger things that happened.
Yeah, but that's also, I just want to note that's critical. So if there is a large variance on some of the more important line items, please make sure you put notes in there, so that can help Kayla understand the variance, particularly now that we're looking kind of year over year over year over year that we've been collecting this information. Having notes is really helpful. For instance, we've discontinued a fundraiser. We'll never do it again. Well, that's good for us to know. Questions?
If anybody has any questions and you even just want to go over them directly with me, I'm happy to set up a time to meet with you. Just feel free to send me an email. It's on our website.
All right. Sounds like everybody's got it figured out. I'm so glad. It's only taken me 7 years. So thank you. I'll say that, you know, I say this all the time to folks, but Kayla is very available. During the folks' fiscal year ends, when the reports are due, that's when we really don't want to have to do the back and forth, because she's looking at many at the same time. But otherwise, just reach out at any other time during the year to ask questions. We're here to help with that. Also, just sometimes strategy. She's really great on thinking about financial strategy. So thank you for indulging us on that. I'm going to just do a quick overview of the grants process this year, which is not any different than the past year, but be available for any questions that you might have. You will see in the guidelines, we listed the questions, which are very similar, maybe just wordsmithed a little bit over last year. And we have a deadline. The deadline is May 1st. And the applications are open, so you can start working on those. Maybe, I know a lot of folks do stuff offline and then kind of get together and pull up the application to put it in. Do you have any questions about the questions or the materials that we'll be asking for? All right, so the process is going to be the same as it has been in the past. We will do a draft score. A board member or two will be assigned to review the applications and the score with me, and then we have the draft score when we meet with you in our applicant interviews. I will be sending out a Sign Up Genius tomorrow for you to pick your times and days. And I'm asking for each organization to identify who their main representative will be. And then you can bring 2 other people to this virtual meeting. I won't need their names. You don't have to email me with that, but that's the max we're going to have. There are a couple folks who have different layers of bureaucracy. That's the word I'm going to use. So they may need to have an extra person. Just email me and ask me, and we can make that happen. So in those interviews, same thing. The board members, Tom and I, will go through and just ask questions that we need more clarity. To Tom's point, these are kind of, I know that these are labor-intensive meetings and you all are very busy, but remembering that you guys are managing very complex organizations that are doing so many things that it's never possible for us to know everything that you're doing. So this is a really good time for us to reinforce what we know, maybe learn some new things, but also clarify our message when we're doing advocacy on your behalf to the electeds, but also to other folks who are interested in your organization. What questions? Any questions? Man, you guys are awesome. So I also don't want you to think that this is a mandatory workshop that we do every year. I truly want you to know that it's because we want to hear questions, complaints, observations, whatever. So, next year, don't feel like, oh, I have to show up because they're going to hate me and they're going to give me a bad score. That's not how it works. So I will also just remind that we are collecting demographic information on staff and board as we have in the past. If you do not complete, that will impact your score. We will have, we were changing things so that we can understand how many people would be eligible to be counted and how many people opted out. So what we couldn't tell sometimes is some organizations who would not submit anything, I couldn't tell if those board members were opting out or if they were never surveyed or if, the grant writer just put stuff in. So I'll just say that we're here to help you with that. We do this process with our board and staff also. It's a little easier to know who fills out the anonymous surveys here because we're a little smaller. But if you need any guidance on ways to bring it before your board or to create the anonymous survey, our team's here to help you with those. Great. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Okay. Well, I'm just going to use this last moment to say that we appreciate all of you. I like to think that we're through most of the impact of COVID. I know we're still feeling the effects. I know the audiences aren't 100% quite yet, and we are very aware of that. But I feel that the organizations and all of you leaders in every capacity of the organization are really showing such strength and creativity. And I have nothing but excitement for the year ahead, because of all the hard work that you're all doing, every single person in your organization. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. And on that note, I will dismiss you into the world to do wonderful things. We're here if you need anything. All right.
Thank you all.
Yep, question? Karen?
Thanks. I have a quick question. Sorry. I
Yeah.
was making sure I didn't misunderstand something. For the demographic information, for staff, are you interested in the demographics for full-time and then part-time permanent, or also contract and interns?
That's a good question. How about you and I talk about that a little bit offline?
Sure.
Traditionally, I would say it would be part-time permanent and your full-time staff members.
Okay.
Showing, because they're really the core of your day-to-day, year-over-year work. If you wanted to submit, if you wanted to submit a supplement that said, if you were curious, here's, temporary part-time, here's, other folks that you might want to know about, that would be separate from the actual data collection segment of the application. You could upload that. It's up to you. But I think the
Thanks.
folks that are really your core permanent, part-time, and full-time employees. And if you have a
Thanks.
long-term contract with somebody that kind of operates like a staff member and not like a vendor, I might include them as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, everybody.
See y'all.
Thank you.